With the motorsport world currently in its winter break for the most part, and the year heading towards its conclusion, it's time for the Apex Motorsport Awards. But before we announce the actual winners, which will be on Christmas Eve, let's take a look at the nominees for Driver of the Season. The first category is Champion Driver of the Season, open to all drivers who won their championship this year. We've picked out 4 to make our final shortlist.
Starting off with F1 Drivers World Champion Max Verstappen. Max has had a solid performance this year, not only raking in 454 out of a possible 550 points this season, but shockingly that he's pretty much the new generational talent. His season, with a few setbacks against Ferrari, has been one of the best to watch, with great wheel-to-wheel battles with Sainz and Leclerc, winning both championships this year with Red Bull, which hadn't been done since 2013. Both championships being obviously the drivers and the constructors. For this reason, I think Max is a great nominee for Champion of the Season.
Stoffel van Dorn. He is the next nominee for Champion Driver of the Season on the back of winning the Formula E World Championship. It wasn't easy for the Belgian driver, but in a series where finishing is often more important than winning, he sealed the championship by 33 points. 8 podiums over the course of the season, which included a win at the Monaco E-Prix, was enough to give the former McLaren F1 driver enough to be only the second world champion in the series. What helped Van Dorn was his consistency and the reliability of his Mercedes EQ car. His popularity with the fans also saw him claim fan boost in every single race last season.
Will Power is this year's IndyCar Series champion. Despite only winning one race in Detroit, he managed to stay relatively consistent throughout the season, gathering enough points to see out teammate Joseph Newgarden, just by 16 points. Excusing the pun, he showed great willpower to keep his mind focused and battle hard through every race, averaging greater than 6th place in 13 of the 17 races. In doing so, he has put his mark in the IndyCar Series and will probably be a big threat next year.
Tom Ingram. He might be one of the lesser known names on the list, but Tom Ingram earned his place after winning the 2022 British Touring Car Championship. He won the title by 12 points after claiming 6 victories and a further 6 podiums. With reliability behind him, he only failed to score twice all season, and while not every result saw him near the top of the timesheets, a strong start to the season saw him inside the top 5 for the opening 6 races, which helped him get off to a good start. Ingram would also claim 8 fastest laps over the course of the season on his way to claiming his first British Touring Car Championship title. The next category is Rookie of the Season, and to be eligible for this group, you must just be a rookie in your championship. So here's the nominees.
Logan Sargent, the American F2 driver, has had a promising season, finishing 4th, just 1 point difference between him and Liam Lawson in 3rd. Upon this, he has been able to secure himself a seat with Williams' F1 team for 2023, having graduated from their junior driver program. With an average finishing position of 6th place across the races he had not retired, it's been a solid performance. With 2 wins to his name this season at Silverstone and the Red Bull Ring, Logan has shown he has the skills to defend and win races. He's clearly impressed the Williams F1 team after just only 1 full season in F2, enough to warrant him an F1 seat.
Zhou Guanyu. The F1 Rookie of the Season, on the basis of being the only full-time rookie racing in 2022, saw Zhou become the first Chinese driver in the sport. While his arrival in the series wasn't the most widely accepted, given his status as a so-called pay driver, he made a strong start to the season, scoring points in his debut race in Bahrain. The pace in his Alfa Romeo car fell away as the season went on, but if people aren't mentioning your name frequently during the race, sometimes it can mean you're not doing too badly, and this was the case for Zhou Guanyu. While he didn't blow anyone away with his performances, his place in the grid feels somewhat deserved, despite finishing 18th in the standings, scoring 6 points across the season.
Since leaving Formula 2 after the 2021 season, Christian Lundegaard embarked on a new driving challenge, IndyCar. the Dane managed to have a top 10 finish in 7 of the 17 races, reaching a second place podium at the Indianapolis Grand Prix. He is the highest rookie point scorer this season, totaling up 323 points. With this, IndyCar labelled him Rookie of the Year, and this is why he is another good candidate for our Rookie of the Season.
Luke Browning. It's a name you might not have heard of yet, but one to certainly keep an eye on, as Luke Browning claimed the GB3 Championship title in his debut season. He was in the title fight all the way through the season, but straight away he was confident he could win the championship by putting in performances to match that confidence as well. He claimed 5 race wins and a further 8 podiums over the course of the season, which saw him be crowned champion by 46.5 points. His performances were strong, and he always seemed to be in the fight even if it wasn't for the overall win. He knew what he needed to do in each race, and executed that by the time the checker flag fell. Next up is the non-champion driver of the season, open to all drivers who failed to win their championships, so here are the nominees.
Lewis has not had the best of races this season, with a slower car and issues due to porpoising for the Mercedes. Hamilton has struggled to get the most out of the car. Even after being in a different car to George for the first few races, he managed to hold on well in the field. When they swapped him back onto the same setup as George, Hamilton began challenging in the top 6 against the Ferraris. Even though Hamilton went the whole season without a single race win, he did not disappoint, still getting 9 podiums out of 22 races. We've seen what Hamilton has managed to achieve over this year, and it's just been a great inspiration. It's been great to see the other drivers, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next year, and that's why I also truly believe he should be on our non-champion driver of the season.
Joseph Newgarden. The runner-up in the IndyCar series, only 16 points behind the champion, Newgarden should be very happy with how his season went. 5 race victories was more than the champion, and his early season struggles would ultimately prove costly, despite wins in Texas and Long Beach in the second and third race of the season. He took the fight to willpower, and while it wasn't enough to win the title, it will have given him some added motivation to try and win his 3rd IndyCar championship next season.
There really isn't much to say about Checo, in a good way though. Here's some very easy points. He's been the best defender for Max, keeping his rivals behind and sacrificing his own race to assist him to victories at times. He almost finished 2nd in the Drivers' Championship and has been the first driver for Red Bull to be competitive since Ricciardo, obviously excluding Max Verstappen. He's been consistent throughout every race this year and secured 2 more race wins as well. Despite this being his 2nd full season with the team, he's shown at all times he could be a number 1 driver if given the right opportunities, but is happy to be a great team player, and that's what we're looking for.
George Russell. Joining Mercedes and replacing a driver like Valtteri Bottas was never going to be an easy job. Mix it in with an uncompetitive car and you've got the recipe for a disaster. However, for George Russell, he made the most of Mercedes' struggles and was able to put in some very strong, consistent performances to establish himself as one of the most competitive drivers on the grid, and he has shown the potential to fight for race wins as soon as he gets the equipment to help him deliver. So that's our nominees for the Driver of the Season awards. If you think anyone else is deserving of their place on the list that we left out, let us know in the comments section below. But that's all we have time for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you can join us in the next one. Goodbye.